Hey y'all, it's Chelsea here. I wanted to talk about something that's been on my mind a lot lately now that I'm 6 months postpartum, and that's how to reprioritize your relationship after having a baby. So you've had a baby, the first few months are all about survival and just making it through, and now you're a little bit ways out, maybe half a year, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, and you're finally at the point where you feel like, okay, now I'm ready to turn my focus back to my relationship and start trying to reprioritize that so that I can get it in a really good place. This has been something that is so hard to do because your entire life has changed. You've had to reorganize things, you've already reprioritized a bit, and the dynamic of your relationship has probably changed a lot. So here are some things that I found really useful in making a really strong attempt to get things back on the same page with your partner. The first thing that I really recommend is coming together and creating a schedule. I feel like this is the basis of all things. Pick a time, pick a date, and sit down with your partner and talk about what you want your priorities to be. If you want to make sure that you're doing a date night once a week, if you want to make sure that you're scheduling time to have discussions about your baby or plans or whatever it is, actually creating time in a physical or like virtual calendar is so helpful. I really like to plan a date night each week, and I also like to plan times for meetings or like partner town halls. I feel like this is super helpful because I'm the sort of person where as I think of things, I'll text my husband or I'll shoot him a message and he'll be in the middle of work and can't really talk about it at that time. So instead, I keep a running list of things that I want to discuss, whether it's, what foods we're going to introduce to the baby or what plans we want to make coming up. And so when we have a time where we can come together and sort of run through that list, we're able to divide and conquer. I can delegate. We can sort of make those things happen a lot better. And then we're not spending all of our downtime talking about logistics, essentially. So I really like to use that time, get through some logistical stuff, figure out what your plan is for the next week, for the next month, whatever it may be. And then when you have other alone time together, you're able to focus on reconnecting more than you are having to focus on planning things. The other thing I do really recommend is doing some sort of date night. For us, it's been very difficult to actually get out of the house once a week. So instead, we just pick a night where we're like, okay, this is gonna be the night that's a date night. And after the baby goes to sleep, we have a glass of wine and we talk and we make sure, as cliche as it is, we make sure we're talking about non-baby things. I just think this really helps us feel like grown-ups again and like our relationship is more how it was before, in an even better way. I just think having that intentional time together can make such a difference. Another thing that can help a lot, as you can tell, a lot of these are about communication. And I think one of the biggest things with communicating is determining how you and your partner might communicate differently. I think this is a root of a lot of conflict, and it's something that can be easily solved, but you really have to make the effort to do so. I think taking some time each night to sit down and say, okay, you get 5 minutes, I get 5 minutes, and it's just venting about whatever is going on. And it's not venting about the other person, it's not bringing up an issue you might have with the other person. It's really saying, this is what I'm stressed about, and it's setting your partner up for success beforehand. So let them know, I don't need suggestions, I don't need you to try and solve this problem for me. I just really want to be able to tell you what's on my mind and what I've been dealing with for the past day or week or whatever it is. And then giving them the chance to do the same thing. I tend to, if my husband's stressed about something, I take that on and I'm like, okay, well now this is my problem too and I want to help solve it, which is almost never what he wants or needs. So I think really coming together, giving each other that time and space to talk through things without it becoming it would help me if you could do this, but more so, my day was so stressful, I'm concerned about this thing, that I don't have enough time. Going through that sort of thing and knowing that you have an active listener who isn't gonna try and solve your problems for you can be so helpful in strengthening your relationship after having a baby. A couple other small things that I really strive to do, whether or not I'm successful is up for debate, but I think picking moments during the day or the week where you're able to have small moments of connection. A place that I turn to for advice on stuff like this is the Gottman Institute. They've been studying marriage and relationship for literal decades, and something that they really recommend is noticing when your partner is making bids and whether or not you're reciprocating those bids. These are bids for affection. It can be if your partner tells a joke Do you laugh and react and engage, or do you ignore them? Identifying how your partner and how you yourself make bids for affection and interaction can be really helpful in identifying how to strengthen your relationship and how to really keep those lines of communication and affection open in a time where you're stressed and you have a lot of other things on your plate. So making sure that if my husband's talking to me, I try and make eye contact, put my phone away, really hone in on what he's talking about and be an active participant in the conversation and expect the same in return. And I think that's the key, is really creating a balance, setting up expectations, and letting your partner know what it is you need from them and letting them know what you can do to help them out. And I think that's the biggest thing, is to reprioritize your relationship takes a lot of communication, and it does take time and effort, but it's so worth it to be coming out of that newborn phase and come right into a really healthy and loving sort of landing place with your relationship. And it's a great time to try and heal sort of the stress of those first few months of having a baby. Sort of developing shorthand language with your partner and little things that help you get through the day. So one that I've heard is, anything said in the middle of the night is forgiven. So when you're sleep deprived and you snap at your partner or they snap at you, that's just a clean slate in the morning. Stuff like that, where you're just creating an opportunity for positive dialogue and assuming the best and assuming that your partner has the best intentions can go a very long way. So those are some of the tips that I've come across and that I've started to implement in my relationship for really reprioritizing things, reframing your relationship to be stronger and to be more than just two parents to a baby, and instead, have a real partnership and relationship like you did before.